Angela, welcome. Today we are going to discuss about our Edenred values. And one core value of our Edenred core values actually is the extra mile mindset, so to foster and to promote this. So what does this mean for you personally, and could you also shortly introduce yourself, please?
Yes. Hi everyone. So my name is Angela. I'm working for UTA Edenred since 9 years now, and currently I'm the EV project manager responsible for our e-charge program. Let's call it like this. So I steer the projects around e-charge. I find solutions whenever there is an issue with all the different stakeholders we have for this new product, let's say.
And I can testify that you do.
Yes, thank you. I'll try my best, and I always try to go the extra mile. So I think, especially in the projects I manage, the projects I steer, I think it's always important to stay flexible, let's say, to react to specific conditions, to new conditions. And this is for me going the extra mile to find solutions to specific issues.
Oh, that sounds absolutely great, yeah.
Yes, and you, Richard, who are you?
Yeah. Thanks for asking, Angela. So actually, I'm Richard. I'm the Managing Director for Commercial Road Transportation at Edenred Mobility EMEA. So meaning we are managing all clients with regards to our transportation needs with a team of roughly 200 people plus. And for me, the extra mile mindset also shows in our daily work. So really to come from strategy to operations. So if we are defining on where we would like to go with Edenred until 2029 with our Amplify program that we've just recently launched, our key question every day has to be, how can we achieve this? How can we do even more? And this does not mean necessarily to work longer, but this means to really have smart ideas, to look at what is really necessary for our customers, and to, for everybody, show a kind of extreme ownership, and to take on all different angles we need to cover actually to deliver more and even better than our competition. So because of course what we would like to achieve is a certain amount of growth with our customers and also with our business over the next couple of years. And this usually and naturally requires for me this extra mile or growth mindset. Yeah? That's very important for me.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it already that in our center are always our customers,
yes.
Right? So, and I remember one situation where we had a really, really big key account.
Yes.
There was a mistake when we ordered the cards. So back in the days, we used to emboss the cards in Kleinostheim. And there was an issue with the card ordering and the a combination between card and PIN and so on. So it was a mess. And we promised to the shipment at a specific date. And then there was this mess. And then we decided, okay, we now need to emboss all cards again. And what happened is me and a lot of other people, we sat together, we built a task force, and we said, okay, how can we achieve to ship the cards at this specific date for our customer? And so what happened is that we really worked a lot, 2 days long, to emboss the cards, to fold, to put them on card letters, to fold them, to put them in the envelope. So it was, it was the whole process, let's say, from embossing until a shipment, and we put on the stamps and so on. So it was really, it was a great experience, let's say. And this is for me also a good example for the extra mile, because our customers are our focus, and we try our best to serve them in the best possible way.
Absolutely. No, and I also fully agree that there are times when you also need to go the extra mile. Sometimes it can work to work even longer, but also sometimes it just means, really to have smart ideas to fix an issue. And I think they are really we need ownership from everybody, to say, okay, now I have an issue, that's my topic, I want to solve it. And also this already, for me, really proves the extra mile mindset that we are living at Edenred, which are also, we love the values we promote and also demonstrate every day. And this also really leads me to another, I think, interesting angle. So as an EV project manager, you just recently mentioned that this is your current function. Of course, you're not, from a managing perspective, not managing any people, but you're managing very large-scale, complex projects every day. And of course, they are key and crucial to make our company even more successful. So what would you say, how do you create an environment where a extra mile mindset or a growth mindset is really embraced? And how do you ensure that this environment is also really felt by the people that you are working with?
So I think here I try to listen. I try to listen to my colleagues, and I'll try to to understand what's maybe behind. So what's maybe behind a no, or behind a, oh, that's not working out. So I think I'll try to listen, I ask questions, and I'll try to understand what is their specific position. And then, because I'm working with a lot of people together, with a lot of departments, with external guys from our installation companies, for example, but also with Spirit together, with Edenred. And so there are a lot of people, and I always try to listen to them, to ask questions, and then to find a solution together, maybe to propose something, or also to let them propose a solution, because they are the experts in their department. So I'll trust them, and I'll try to give them confidence that they are, let's say, allowed to tell me what they are thinking, and then let's see how to move forward. So I think it's more like, we try our best to meet all requirements and all needs by listening, asking questions, and to understand their positions.
Yeah. No, I fully understand this, and also this is how I actually approach this topic as a manager. So, of course, managing different layers. So meaning, of course, also I'm managing my regional directors, and they have their teams, is not always easy to really reach everybody directly. But what is very necessary for me to enforce the extra mile mindset in all of my teams is to create an environment of trust. So I personally fully believe that if you are working in an environment where also you can make mistakes, but still you are rewarded for maybe taking a risk, because it also shows a growth or extra mile mindset, that is really only possible in a stable environment, in an environment where you can also really trust your leader, your manager, that even though you're making mistakes, can happen, that nothing really critical is happening, because if you ask me, we can only have a growth mindset and go the extra mile and enforce it if we are really also able to take risks. And this, at the very end, also shows that we are able to create business opportunities, and potentially also to grow even stronger. And there are different things that I remember quite well that we also work together on, but also with all of the companies. So, for example, different projects with OEMs, great OEM partnerships that we just recently launched, where we saw directly at the very beginning no concrete or no clear impact for us, but we just took the topic together and said, okay, let's just try. We were not actually totally clear on our strategy and if it works out, but at the very end it did. And this also for me really represents a growth mindset and an extra mile mindset with all of our teams together, because you just sometimes have to take something, take ownership, and then really push it to the end from the very beginning to the execution. This is
I think this is also important in the projects, that you have trial and error on the one side, but also learn and improve, right? So that you are able to learn from maybe a mistake or from something that went that right. And I think this is very important, which I also try to live in my projects, to have a lessons learned, a follow-up. So what was good, what not so good, and to learn from the past and to try to not make the mistakes again. And I think this is very, very important. Yes.
No, I fully agree. And usually, what is also happening if you're having a lot of projects and you're steering it, usually, nevertheless, you always try to move forward. So even though some things are not working, you try to maybe push it and still make it successful, which I think is natural because you really would like to have the success. But could you remember any time over the past couple of months or years where maybe stopping or doing nothing at all, or to say, okay, we now have to close the topic or to finish, which sometimes is harder than to continue, was maybe the right and the most appropriate option?
So maybe yes, so stopping, yes, because I often, when there is a discussion going on, right? So there are a lot of opinions and a lot of people are involved. I always try to say, okay, please let's stop here.
Yes.
Let's maybe have an overview. What is actually the issue? What are possible way outs, let's say, and how can we handle the situation? So to have like a view, let's call it from above somehow. And this is, quite often, to be honest, because we have a lot of discussions currently ongoing, and sometimes we really need to say, okay, stop. We need to step at the side maybe, and to have a clear view where we have to sleep one night, and then we can get back on the table and talk again and find a solution. So I think this is very important sometimes, yes.
No, I absolutely fully agree.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are so many things that are changing, and I think also What I really like about our Edenred values is that it gives us all together as a company, because we are in a changing environment, the economy is changing, but also, of course, the products, the services, and the goods. And you just mentioned you are responsible for EV. It's a still new product that we are selling to the market. I think what I like about the Edenred values in this case is that it gives us all together a clear direction to not lose ourselves, but to unite us all together as a company. And for me, really, the extra mindset is very much on top, to be honest, because it shows to me who we want to be, also as a company, but everybody can identify with that. And that's really what I like. But of course, in a challenging and also changing environment, it happens that also some of our colleagues maybe feel a bit lost, or they are asking themselves, okay, what actually changes personally for me? How does these Edenred values affect me? So what would you tell an employee if he or she would ask you what concretely changes for me over the next couple of years? What would you say?
So yes, you mentioned it already. The markets are changing. Our company is evolving and moving and growing, which is good. To be very honest, we just heard in the presentations around Amplify that we have a lot of investments planned for the next years, especially in our IT environment, let's say. But I think one important change will be the move from Klein-Ostheim to Frankfurt, which is currently discussed, which has been announced a few weeks ago. So for me, the communication was clear. We will move to Frankfurt, or close to Frankfurt. And now we need to see how we can handle it together with our workers' council. So I think it's important to see also optimistic in the future. We still are working for a company that is very strong, let's say. And now we need to see how to handle this move. And from my perspective, because I'm also affected. Let's say I have 2 little kids. I live in Aschaffenburg, so I will have to drive to Frankfurt maybe an hour. And now, I'm traveling by bike.
I know, absolutely.
I cycle to work. This will be quite difficult, to be honest, in the future. So I need to find a way to do some sports at least.
Which is actually good. Yeah, it's not a pity.
Yeah, so maybe, let's see. But from my point of view, so the decision is taken, and now I will focus on what I can control, and what I can control is I can do the best out of it. And I used to work for a company in Frankfurt before I worked for UTA, and there I remember that we had educational holidays. Yes. Not sure whether it's the right translation, but so it's 5 days per year where you are able to you can take to educate yourself, and I think that's also a great chance, and we should or can also focus on these positive things when we look to the move to Frankfurt.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I also fully agree. I mean, at the very end, I'm fully aware, and the entire management board of Edenred Mobility EMEA is that this move to Frankfurt also represents a challenge for some employees, definitely, and we take it very seriously. But I think also, and we were speaking about the extra mile mindset today, for me it's also clear that in a changing environment, sometimes it's also necessary to adapt quickly. And even though, of course, change feels uncomfortable, what does it mean for you personally? And how can I maybe adjust and make the best out of the situation, and also try to see the positive in things where I maybe first have a kind of, reluctant feeling to say, okay, that's not for me, but I'm not in it. But just, to change your perspective and to say, oh, well, maybe this could be for me, and what are the positive things about it? And I think also really this is actually differentiating the fixed from the growth mindset. And this is really what I love actually about this Edenred value. And I think what a lot of employees, by the way, are representing at the moment in the company. So it's really great that you also see the positive things from our move to Frankfurt, and I also really believe that's possible. But you also mentioned another very interesting point to me that I really liked is that you're a mother of 2 kids, and of course sometimes it's quite tricky to combine, this hard-working mindset, and we just said it's not about working extra hours, but really just to be there, to show up, to take the project. Of course, it requires time. And if you ask me also, nothing really good comes out of doing nothing. So it means, of course, you have to do a lot of effort, yeah? And sometimes, of course, it means, like you just mentioned, the great example from the key account, to fix something, and then you maybe need some more time. But it does not always means this. So you are a working mother with 2 kids. So still you are able to deliver great projects and to now really be responsible for our EV integration. And what I would be interested and keen about and to understand is how Edenred is supporting you in that. So do you feel well supported, especially with your, let's say, work-life relationship and also with regards maybe to still be able to deliver the extra mile mindset?
Yes. Yeah. So definitely yes, because for me, the extra mile it doesn't mean that I have to work like 10 hours per day. But I want to be there whenever there is a severe issue. And then it is about prioritization, right? So I need to prioritize myself, I need to prioritize my private life and also my work life. So what I use quite extensively, let's say, is the possibility to work between 6 and 10 p.m. So I have many days where I just simply go to work. I bring my kids to kindergarten, then I'm at the office at maybe 8:30 roundabout. Then I work until 3, then I'll pick them up. We have a great afternoon together, and then I'll work when they are in bed, so after 7 p.m. or something, 8. Yeah. But then there are other days where I'll simply drive to the office and stay there until maybe 6, because there is an important project to be finalized or anything to prepare. So for me, it's staying flexible and to being able to prioritize yourself. And this is also what I do from a private perspective. Let's say that I prioritize. So family is always first. Yes. I don't have to tell you this because you have also kids. So, but still, I would like to have a work-life balance, and I want to have both. I want to have a career, and I also want to have a family. And I think that's important for me, and for me that's important when working for UJ Edenred.
Yes, and it's really great to see also, that you're able to do this with Edenred supporting you on this. I mean, you're a hardworking mom, and still it does not mean you have to work over hours, but what you just said is what I really liked. You said you have to prioritize, and leadership is about prioritization. It means what to do and what not to do. So, and this is exactly something that you have to decide on every day, which also differentiates, if you ask me, the fixed from the growth mindset and really going the extra mile, because it's not just about working longer, it's about also working smarter, and also to say, let's do the right things, and let's also say stop to some other things that are maybe not at the moment relevant or that do not have the highest priority. And of course, as a mother, you are the best practice case actually for handling and dealing prioritizations every day. Yes. So that's really, really interesting, Angela. Yeah, absolutely. So is there anything else that you have in mind when it comes to the extra mile mindset? And what would you maybe say to your colleagues to really embrace and foster this growth and extra mile mindset even more inside of our organization?
I would say maybe share your ideas. So if you have anything in mind, share it with your manager. Maybe I think there are great ideas out there that maybe are not heard yet because someone does not dare to tell them. So this would be the first thing. On the other side is that you need to understand that you are allowed to make mistakes. That you should trial and error, which I mentioned before, but then also learn from what has happened and what maybe did not work out so well. And from my point of view, Edenred gives you the opportunity to do this. And these are the 2 things I would like to mention here.
Very good.
And from your perspective?
Well, actually, what I really try to do with my teams is to say, as we just mentioned, going the extra mile does not necessarily mean to work over or extra hours. It just means to prioritize what is necessary and also, of course, to take on additional challenges whenever they are coming up. So what I really would love to see is to have even more entrepreneurs inside of our Edenred environment. Because of course we are a corporate company, we are a corporate environment, but I am really, really convinced that an entrepreneur inside of a corporate environment makes a difference. And if you ask me, everybody of us can be an entrepreneur with entrepreneurial thinking and mindset, because, and you know that I've been an entrepreneur for the beginning of actually my professional life. What I really like about that is that you take ownership about and of everything. So meaning you will not say, okay, maybe that's not my department, that's not my stuff, that's not what I have to care about, but really to say, okay, does it bring and actually does it contribute to my company's success? Does it bring us success? Does it moves actually the needle? Does it bring us further and so on? And this also for me really is a kind of growth mindset instead of saying, okay, I have the fixed mindset, I'm just focused on my parameter and my department and I don't care about this. And this actually is really something I would like to see even more, to be very honest. So it could also really increase. And how I'm actually pushing this with my teams is to also make them responsible. And I mean, it seems obvious because, of course, inside of my team, I have leaders themselves. So, of course, they're responsible for things. That's clear. But what I mean by that is really to say, I'm not trying to fix, as a manager, the issues for my team members. So, of course, if they need any support, I'm there with any critical projects. But usually my leadership style is more to be described by saying, okay, you have an issue. What would be your solution? So I really try to give also and play the ball back to my team members to say, please just think about the possible solutions. Maybe we can discuss together. I'm more a sparrings partner for you, 2, 3 different outcomes and options. And then we take a decision together, or you come even already prepared and say, look, that's the problem, that's the solution I've worked on. And these are my maybe 3 options on how we could solve it. And what is your take on that? So that is really my kind of leadership to enforce a growth mindset inside of my team's department. And I believe it's the only way how we can also further maintain our growth value and our growth mindset and attitude actually, because if you cut this, nobody will really engage with the issues and solutions or the problems we have to solve every day. So meaning that's crucial for me.
Yeah, I can support what you said, because I remember one time where we worked together, that I had several topics, and I said, okay, Richard, I have this topic, and this topic. Please prioritize. What should I prioritize on now? What should I work on the next week, let's say, before the holidays or whatever? What is the most important thing? And so this was very, very helpful. And I think you also mentioned I think a thing that is very important to me, and especially came up now talking about e-charge and the transition, let's say, is this end-to-end ownership. So what we really need, and what for me is the extra mile, is to take over the end-to-end ownership, and not only a specific, let's say, step within the chain, but to really say, okay, now I'm responsible to deliver a specific product, let's say, but there are so many things that are linked to this. So it's not only a go-to-market from a customer perspective, but it's also to train our people to market, to do some marketing. It's internal marketing, let's say, internal communication, and I know that it's quite difficult for new people as well to find, okay, which is the right mail distribution list, let's say, if I want to contact sales all, for example. So we really need to have this end-to-end ownership and to make clear. So it's not only about designing a great product or a new app or feature or whatever, but it's the whole chain from educational functionalities for the employees, but also in the end, how to invoice it, for example, things like this, right? So this is this end-to-end ownership, which is quite important, and for me also the extra mile.
Absolutely. No, I really love it. Another word to say, and this is usually what Pierre Jaldi, our manager, is saying, is that we really have to prove extreme ownership, and I fully actually support him on this, because for me, owning the process from end to end, even though for parts of the process you might not be responsible, is crucial for becoming successful. And as said in the very beginning, Edenred, as Edenred, we want to amplify. So we would like to achieve even more over the next couple of years and to deliver a sustainable, but also really material growth to our stakeholders and to our shareholders and to ourselves. And while doing that, also we really have to think about the ways that are supporting actually our ambition and our strategy. strategy. So that is also why I personally believe that the extra mile mindset fits perfectly well with our Edenred strategy to become a mobility platform player, at least for Edenred Mobility EMEA, and to amplify our business over the next couple of years. Yeah. Would you also agree on this?
Yes, definitely. So I think it's both the extra mile for both sides. Let's say not only from an employee perspective, but also employer perspective.
Yes.
And I'm convinced that Justin Timberlake was right when he said what comes around goes around.
Yes, so it's still valid as of today.
It's still valid. For me it's giving and taking, and I think this is what we do quite good at UJ Edenred.
Right. No,
the best is yet to come.
Yes, the best is yet to come. I fully agree, and I really like that. But I mean, now we've covered so much the external mindset, which is also for me the most important, for me personally, Edenred value, because I really like it. And as said, it fits perfectly well with our Edenred strategy until 2029. But are there any other Edenred values that stand out for you where you personally can connect with very well?
I think all of them are valid, let's say. So the extra mile is what I can personally identify with. Yeah. So I think that we have this topic with innovation, let's say. So we want to be innovative, not only for our customers, but also internally to find new ways of finding new employees, finding new colleagues, also finding new solutions for our customers. And I think to be able to perform on the market, let's say, where we have so many competitors. Talking about EV, we have completely new competitors with whom we have never talked before, let's say, because they are not active in the fuel market, let's say. And therefore, we need to be flexible and we need to find solutions for our customers. And I think this whole topic of innovation is very important as well.
Absolutely, and I think it's inside of the Edenred DNA, and I really love that we are embracing and fostering this even more, because I think it's crucial for our sustainable and long-term growth at Edenred. And also we see how much our current business model is transforming itself. A lot of industries are undergoing this kind of transformation, but it's definitely key to maintain our growth and extra mile mindset to make Edenred also successful over the next couple of years to come. And I'm very much convinced that the best is yet to come. So Angela, thank you so much for this very interesting talk. It was really a pleasure to speak about the extra mile mindset with you today. And I'm sure there's much more to come.
Yes,
thank you.
True. Thank you very much.
Thank you.